Well, hello and welcome back to more kitchen cutlery. I'm still a little unsure on that name, but I do like alliteration a little bit, so I'm going to keep with that. And I don't really want to use a Q for it because that's just weird. But yeah, today we're looking at a TwoSun. Um, this one is the TS506-DM. As you can see, I don't think they make another variant of it. But yeah, this is a hammered Damascus clad blade. This is a Santoku with G10 handles, and you can certainly tell it's G10. You can see all the different fibers going through everywhere, and very very thin layers and everything. So very dense handle, very resistant to things in the kitchen. I guess even the dishwasher, but don't put your knives in the dishwasher, please. This guy is interesting. It's the standard 7-inch Santoku, but it is more European style. So it does actually have Volster that kind of gets you into that pinch grip kind of thing. And it does a pretty darn good job. It's quite comfortable. I'm actually going to lift this guy up a little bit, give me a little bit more room. There we go. Yeah, it has a little bit of belly on it, like standard Santoku would. It's got the Damascus cladding on there, and yeah, it's a relatively pretty pattern. Doesn't necessarily feel super cladded, which means that it's fairly thin in the cladding, which is perfectly fine, but it's not going to have any of those releasing type properties that a lot of people will talk about with that. You can also kind of see basically the line at the very end of that cladding. You can see basically that it's got that core there. This guy is pretty heavy. I will say that this is one of the heaviest Santokus, and I will take a look at the chef's knife for this as well a little bit later. These guys in particularly are heavy. And I mean, they are balanced basically right at the top notch of that bolster. You can see that's not the bottom notch, but it is the top that it balances on quite nicely, and it's very comfortable in the hand. It is interesting that it's got this guy, which is quite a bit different than most of your European, German, French style chef's knives that curl over so that it kind of cradles your hand. This is completely open, but it's long enough so that doesn't really matter all that much. I guess it might matter if you're particularly doing something like doing a lot of chopping with this guy, where it will actually hit you. Not uncomfortable at all, but a little bit limiting. But if you're going to do that, I'd suggest probably having a different knife, whether it's a Chinese cleaver, Usuba, or something like that. But I did like this guy quite a bit. I kind of disassembled a pineapple and some cabbage, and then potatoes and carrots and whatnot. Just kind of putting it through its paces. Definitely has a sharp blade on it, so that's cool. Speaking of the blade, this is 10CR15 MOV, which means it's possibly 10CR15CO MOV, which I think is a little bit more common steel type. And it performs a bit less than VG10 usually. But it does have, usually a higher hardness, in the 60 to 62 to maybe 63 range, depending. But it can get super, super hard. So you definitely don't want to try to whack this thing through frozen foods or, any kind of bones that probably aren't poultry. I really wouldn't try to kind of get through that with this. You generally want something with a softer blade, like a cleaver or something like that, to do that job. But yeah, that's kind of what I've gathered from the 10CR15CO MOV. Man, so many letters on that. I guess the CO is probably cobalt, probably has a little tiny bit in there that helps quite a bit as, Spyderco was super into it when they came up with their Spy 27 steel. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit better than your 7CR or 8CR13 or any of that sort of stuff. So it will probably hold up pretty darn well. Like I said, this guy is super heavy. I will go ahead and get the weight for you. And this will probably help out a little bit later once I've reviewed a few more of these sort of guys. But yeah, this is a itty bitty little scale. So I've basically got this guy here, which, yeah, it's going to read 9.8 because I haven't calibrated this guy for a lot of it, but it's, 0.2 of a gram off. And slapping that guy on there, yeah, it's like 9.8 ounces. Or, 278, almost 279 grams, which you definitely feel. It feels very substantial, very strong. It doesn't just feel heavy like a lead weight. But yeah, it's quite a nice piece. I do like the handles on this guy with the red and black laminations on there. It's fairly attractive and easy to see. So that's perfectly nice and everything. And you do have the hammer patterning there, and it doesn't have the blackened stuff like some of their other knives do. So it's all, nice and shiny and all that sort of good stuff. The fit and finish on it's pretty good. I mean, the bolsters are basically right where they need to be. There's not, super off on either particular direction. Fairly darn comfortable. Either way. I'm certainly not a lefty, but if I absolutely had to, then I certainly could. And yeah, even kind of here where the G10 laminate meets the bolster, I don't really feel any seams or anything like that. It is very, very nicely done. So yeah, this guy, if you're looking for, a Santoku, or I guess with a chef's knife, because I do make this in a chef's knife as well, that does have a little bit longer handle for you. And if you think that most of the rest of them are a little too dainty for, the chopping prowess that you really want to smack down on some food, then these guys are a pretty good way to go. Like I said, the steel will probably last a little bit less than VG10. That being said, it's not bad. That's what Shun used for many, many years before they started using VG Max, I guess. But actually, I'm not sure. Maybe some of them still use VG10. I don't know. But yeah, this guy is quite nice and up to the challenge. However, that being said, with the steel being what it is, I would say that you should probably look for these guys on kind of the cheaper side. I think I got this guy somewhere in the mid 30s, and for that, it is a fantastic deal. But yeah, I really probably wouldn't start throwing out 50 or 60 bucks for that because, well, for one, I think that's over what they even want to retail it for on AliExpress. But they do have their other line that I've taken a look at a little bit that has the 14C28N that's done in a similar forged fashion. I honestly don't know if the 14C28N is forged. It certainly has the thick bolsters and everything, like a forged blade does. But I honestly don't know off the top of my head at the moment if 14C28N is fully forgeable. I don't know. Maybe they just start with a big old huge piece of stock and then grind it all out. But that seems like quite a bit of a waste. So I'm guessing that it is one of the forgeable steels. Either way, it was a great knife for the right price, and that price being probably somewhere in the 30s. It will certainly hold up with you for a very, very long time. We got the rock solid 2-pin construction with the G10 on there. And yeah, you could even kind of look at this for a gift for some, new budding kitchen enthusiast or something like that, because it's a very nice blade, very, very nicely balanced. And because of this handle shape, will fit a lot of different or a lot of different hand sizes, as you can see. But it's probably not one for kind of older people who might have arthritis, because it is kind of a heavier chunk. You kind of look at it as like a solid bodied Les Paul guitar over something else that probably weighs less than like 9 pounds strapped to your back, sort of thing, as kind of an allegory there. But yeah, that's about all I can really think about on this guy. I do like it quite a bit. It's not my favorite Santoku from them. I did start with the TS933, which is their 14C28N one of this, with kind of the more European handle. And well, here, I can even pull it out, because I have a couple of them that I'm sending off to family members fairly darn soon. So, yeah. Bump the camera. Oh well. But yeah, this is the TS933 that I would suggest over this guy. Does weigh a very noticeable less. The blade's actually a bit taller on it, which I personally like for cutting through taller foods. It's nice to have that stability on the side of the blade. It's got the Cullen Schliff, or the Granton edge there, and it's got a little bit more of the European handle, a little bit of a hook at the end there. So that's still probably my go-to for a Santoku, but this one certainly does look quite a bit fancier, and just has a lot more visual flair to it, and a little bit heavier. So there you go. There's the TS506-DM in 10CR 15CO MOV steel. Well, all right. As always, appreciate you if you're watching. I know this probably won't be a series of videos that attract a lot of views, because a lot more of us are into folding knives. But I like to cook. I like to cut stuff in the kitchen, and I was curious to see kind of what TwoSun was doing. So yeah, there we are. Next week I will probably take a look at a Messermeister. I got a few of those laying around, and they do a lot of work in my kitchen. So that's going to be the next thing that I take a look at. All right. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, regardless, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.